What will your last 10 years look like? Will you be quick enough for a game of tag with your grandchild? Strong enough to embrace every moment? Will you grow old with vitality? Or get old with disease? It's time to decide.
I know when we're younger, we don't think so much about it. So what I'm going to focus on, Dr. Paul will get into a lot of the nuts and bolts of it, but we know how to. It's the want to, the motivation that really has to change. We have to look at this. I look at it as a lifelong, you can call it a struggle, lifelong battle, like lifestyle. Because when I was in the fitness industry, I don't know how many of you know this, but that's where I got a lot of the experience, was working with and actually oversaw personal training departments, oversaw multiple fitness locations. 24-hour fitness was the name of it. And we had supplements, all kinds of things, accelerated results programs. And then I did a lot of studying with the National Academy of Sports Medicine. I just loved biology and kinesiology, and never got a degree or took it further, but it's just it just made my heart leap for joy when I saw all the people getting the results and reversing just about every disease. Okay, we want to be careful. A disclaimer, right? Here's a disclaimer. Talk to your physician before starting. Well, I guess you could talk to Dr. Paul on your way out, and then we're covered. So, but make sure you talk to them, because there are lots of different, that's why this topic is so hard. There's lots of different nuances. Medication you're taking, lifestyle, genetics, and it's not a one-size-fits-all approach necessarily. But you can have the best trainer, the best nutritionist, and the best doctor, but none of that will matter without motivation. Correct? We have more podcasts than ever before, more books. I mean, the how-to is not the problem. It's the want to. And of course, in the how-to, it gets confusing, doesn't it? You hear that now, the carnivore's big, carnivore diet, just eat meat. Sounds good, but it's pretty hard unless you've tried it. And then whole plant-based foods, plants only. And then you have, of course, a mixture in there, the Mediterranean, no carbs, low carbs. Fruitopians, I think they're called. They only eat fruit. It's just, there's so many, and it can get most people, when I used to talk to them and help them in this area, if you have too much information, you just kind of give up. Because this isn't working. I don't know what works. I don't want to be wasting all this time if this isn't working. So we're going to cover principles that actually work. They're biblically based, and they will work if you apply them. But fitness, weight loss, whatever you want to call it, it really is a lifestyle. It's impossible to go on a 30-day diet and change a lifelong struggle, or a 60-day diet. And here's the good news, because people say, oh, lifestyle. I don't know. You think I eat perfectly 100% of the time? Absolutely not. But if you can do it 85%, 90%, like if that's your goal and you stay on target, you don't let a cupcake at a birthday party. Because what I would do is, I blew it there. Why not blew it? And let me have 14 quesadillas, and then tonight let me have some ice cream, and then tomorrow what's the point? And you just keep on that roller coaster. The key is really to get back up, because weight loss, health, it's about more right choices than wrong choices. So you're going good. Have you ever been on a good eating program? You're feeling good, you're exercising, you're getting your steps in, and then boom, cupcake, yeah. And you fall for Christmas, Thanksgiving. I mean, and that's why, that big myth out there that, you get sick when it's cold. You really get sick when it's cold because you're eating too much sugar and you're not getting enough sun and vitamin D and things like that. Diet, there's so much related to our diet. And so I saw Countless people absolutely reverse type 2 diabetes. Heart disease. They were going in for heart surgery. And guess what? Now we don't need it because they reversed a lot of what was happening. Mental issues, depression, anxiety, fear, a lot of the important hormones or serotonin, things like that are created in the gut, in the microbiome. And they actually, your gut, that's why they call it the second brain. How you eat is also how you feel often. All of this is, so I saw so many people just and change their life. However, 90% of them didn't. There's only a small fraction. We know that, right? We live it. I've lived it. And I would see people week after month, year after year on the treadmill, work, and nothing changed. Why? Because often your diet is the most important thing. What you put in is what you get out. Exercise is important, but think about this. You can go on a long hour-and-a-half walk. Let's just say 700, 800 calories. And then you go and you stop by Panda Express on your way home. And you should have just avoided Panda, and that would have been more important than the exercise when it comes to calorie intake and the types of nutrients. Even yesterday I did experiment kind of. We steamed like 4 pounds of vegetables, right? Carrots, Brussels sprouts, asparagus. And I had just a huge amount with some almonds. And I was so full for like 2 days. 2 or 3 hours, just like, but it was only 500 calories. But if you have 1,500 at In-N-Out Burger, you're still hungry. A lot of the reason is because there's a lot of chemicals that keep you hungry. Also, it doesn't fill the nutrient need that you need. Your body actually needs nutrients. And so that's why I don't know if you've ever followed, the whole plant-based movement, Esselstyn and T. Carter Collin and Joel Furman or Alan Goldhammer up in True North. They're all on the plants only. And the reason it works because you eat tons of the biggest salad you ever, and some beans on it. And it's very low calorie, but very dense in nutrients. So you're not very hungry. And that will work as well. Before I forget, I want to explain this because it is a confusing thing for many. Actually, I might wait till I get to one of the points because I want to talk to you so people understand, even biblically speaking, there's so much information out there. How does weight loss work? Okay. And Dr. Paul might take different angles. I think we both agree on this. Weight loss really is, it's twofold. And here's why it gets confusing. If you ever how many of you watch Ben Bickman? He's a really popular podcaster right now. Ben Bickman he's like a biologist who studies how the body works. And then you've got Jason Fung, real popular on podcasts. And so what they say, it's all about insulin. It's all about insulin. It's all about insulin. And then you have the other group. No, it's all about calories, all about calories, all about, have you ever heard those are mainly the two different, and they kind of, they fight each other. And I want to sometimes just scream and say, both. If you're eating too many carbs and insulin is constantly spiked, it's hard to lose weight because insulin is a fat storage hormone. It actually tells the body to store fat. But if you're having too many calories, I don't care what kind they are, you're going to gain weight. So it's not just about insulin only. For example, I don't like to use this example, but it helps to paint the picture. In the concentration camps, they were limited to 1,200 calories, more or less, mainly bread. Nobody was overweight. Why is that? Well, of course we know it's not a lot of calories, and they're working and walking. So if that was the case, then there would be a fat gene, and there would still be people overweight, or all of that, mainly soup and bread, all that glucose and all that insulin spike. Why aren't they heavy? I mean, they were emaciated, right? If that's the right word, emaciation. Yeah. So they were so you see that both play a role. Both of them play a huge role in weight loss. Yes, insulin is very important, I agree, but then so is the intake. That's why fasting is so important, and we're giving out free copies of Dr. Paul's book, Fasting in a Gluttonous World, because I think fasting is a missing link not only spiritually, but physically as well. And the reason most people don't fast is, at least what I hear, have you ever heard this, or is this what you're thinking? You'll lose too much muscle, or it's going to slow my metabolism. Good excuses, but actually your body it'll break down a little bit of muscle. It's called gluconeogenesis. It breaks down a little bit of muscle if it needs immediate fuel. That's why you don't want to exercise a lot when you're fasting, especially water fasting, because you need that quick energy. It will temporarily break down the muscle. However, we were designed, here's the key, designed to do what? Burn the fat. So that's mainly what's going to be burned. And what has stopped a lot of people, it stopped me for years, was the metabolism. And I have seen people ruin their metabolism. What happens, let's say low-calorie diets or fasting, what happens is, let's say you're even, you begin to lower your calories. Well, your metabolism responds based on creation. We're not getting as much energy as we used to have. I better which metabolism is basically the rate at which cells burn energy and your body burns energy. And now it's lowering the energy to match what you're eating because you're designed to walk 50 miles or I better conserve energy and lower your metabolism, okay? So let's say fasting your low-calorie diet, let's say it did lower your metabolism by 25%. Number one, I believe that's only temporary. You can build that back up with higher protein intake, watching your glucose, exercise, good sleep. All these things actually increase your metabolism. So you're not stuck there. I came to the realization I'm going to be stuck overweight all of my life and in bad health, or I take a gamble and see if it slows my metabolism. Right? It's an excuse to stay where we're at. And so what happens, so let me just give you a worst case example. Let's say, how many of you know what BMR is? It's a basal metabolic rate. It's the amount of calories your body burns just sitting here and doing nothing. Did you know that? You burn calories all day long without doing anything, just sleeping. Let's say that goes down. Let's say I don't have to do anything and I'm going to burn 1,800 calories. But let's say my metabolism slows down to 1,200. That's a little scary, basal metabolic rate. But then you can throw in there, they call it, I think, EPOC, excessive post-oxygen consumption. So after you exercise, it actually burns more energy. And when you exercise, it burns even more energy. So there is a way to maintain your metabolic rate and also increase your metabolism back to what it was before you fasted and went on a low-calorie diet. It's not the end of the world. Like if I fast or go on a low-calorie diet, I'm going to lower my metabolism for the rest of my life. No, there's ways around that. I would actually take the greater good of getting in shape, losing the weight, easier on the heart, reversing type 2 diabetes, and then I'll deal with maybe a slower metabolic rate because I can increase that through different things. So that was the whole point of that 5-minute rabbit trail, was just to tell you that don't let any of those hindrances stop you from doing what is right. Because even fasting, when I went on that long fast and did a documentary a couple of years ago, it was so funny to watch what I call armchair quarterbacks online, right? And they're like, you had bone broth, that's not fasting. You had xylitol in the gum, or this is just stupid stuff. And I'm like, here I am 40 days later, 37 pounds down, doing great spiritually. I happened to write some articles during that time and reset some of my health, but I had a little bit of calories. Like, are you guys losing your mind here? But see, they get focused on perfectionism. And you don't want to do that, because if you try to do things perfectly and you fail, you will get very discouraged. So I'm just going to go through some of the top things real quick, and then I want to turn it over to Dr. Paul for the majority of the message. But right now, about 1 in 5 children and adolescents are obese. Did you know that? And I know, I want to be careful because I know it's a hard topic, and anytime I mention this, it triggers people, and I understand why. But the truth is, parents, when they're in our house, it's our responsibility. Little Johnny doesn't need Captain Crunch when he's throwing a fit at the store. And it'll take a little time, but they'll grab the carrots. Can you cut me up an apple with almond butter? They'll eventually come around. And so we have a responsibility because the foundation you set now in the life of your child, it's going to be really hard for them to break later. If they are overweight and on the verge of type 2 diabetes as a teenager or even young, it's once you set that pattern, it's extremely difficult. Also, before the mid-1990s, very few children were diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Now it's an epidemic. And of course, type 1 is not anything we can do much about, but type 2 is diet related. It's related to our lifestyle. It's called insulin resistance. Your body's resistant to insulin normally because we're overweight and consuming too many carbohydrates. And just so you think I'm not pointing fingers, even now I want to go on some type of routine too, but I have a lot of the symptoms of borderline type 2, from eyesight to tingling in fingers to lethargic and I see that. And I've got to, at some point make some pretty radical changes. And so I'm not preaching at you. I live it with you. Anybody else a food drunkard? 4 people out of this many? No, there's a lot more. So we live in a whole different time now. In Jesus' time, there was an AM PM. Or Starbucks or Dunkin'. It's like, what do you want to choose? Every time I go, there's no line for the organic Brussels sprouts. But Starbucks on my way there, lines all around, Chick-fil-A, In-N-Out Burger, everything. Also, they're beginning to find that 90% of all chronic disease is diet-related. And what my point is the bottom one. Productivity in all areas of life is severely curtailed when unhealthy and overweight. I can't preach as well. I can't lead the church as well. I can't be and so you realize, even as you, fathers, mothers, it's about productivity. Correct? The more we can do for God, the better we feel. And that's really what it boils down to. Everyone says that they would die for their kids, but would they get healthy for them? And as you know, health is now political. I'm sure Dr. Paul will get into that at some point, maybe. It's revenue driven. You hear all the big pharma, and why do they not want to RFK in that position? Why do they not want him there? Come on. I mean, this is so obvious. And so now health, you've got to be active. Did you know that some of our products we eat here are banned in other countries? Just hold on to that for a minute. France or Belgium, they won't allow certain foods to go there until they take out this monosodium glutamate, the red dye 40s, and these other chemicals. But America, they don't care. The FDA cannot guard you. They're more reactionary now. They're not preventative. You've got to take those initial steps. I know it stinks. Welcome to my world. But it's a world we live in. And we are flooded by information. So what I want to tell you in the brief time I have is look at design and creation. Because every study will cherry pick something. Every study will cherry pick something. I mean, when I was watching Forks Over Knives, I was like, well, yeah, but what about this? And then you watch a carnivore, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. We weren't designed to eat meat only. Just read Genesis. But there are seasons to do that. Maybe Jordan Peterson, you guys follow him, or his daughter. I mean, look at incredible, because if your disease or what's happening to you, if that has actually caused the inflammatory response by the vegetables or by the gluten or different things, even dairy, then yeah, you'll want to avoid those. But see how there's not a cookie cutter approach that fits everybody. Just do this and you'll be fine. And sometimes you have to limit certain things. So look at design and creation. It will answer a lot of questions. What diet is best? What does the Bible say? It says so much. It actually says if you find a little honey, eat just a little. Did you know that? God says, I've given you all the plants, eat it. And then after the flood, he says, now I'm going to give you the beasts of the field as well. Just don't eat the fat, the blood in it. And of course, moderation, movement. We look at creation and we can see what is best for us. What it takes to lose weight is what it's going to take to keep it off. Did you catch that? What it takes to lose weight, get in shape, or live healthy. What it takes to build health is what it's going to take to keep it. And again, I have to throw a disclaimer in there. I'm not being a legalistic Pharisee. You got to live perfectly. But we've got to fall forward and fall in the right direction and take back our health. because there's so much to this. Productivity as we get older, especially as you get older. What does this mean? So I'm going to cover the 5 things and I will be done. But number 1, what voice are you listening to? Who is influencing you? And I just had to answer the question yesterday on Facebook. I have to answer this question a lot, actually. It's like, what about this product? What about this product? What about this product? What about this product? What about this supplement? Well, it's like, what are the ingredients? What's it doing to your body? What are you taking it for? Oh, and by the way, it's called a supplement for a reason. So many people think that's the answer. If I just buy this bulletproof coffee with mushrooms in it, or if I just take this green, the super greens, if I can just take a scoop, that might be helpful, but you might want to stop Carl's Jr. And you might want to start moving, and you might want to start, because see, so many people want the answer. Does that belt really work? Wear it 30 pounds in 30 days. No, it doesn't. It's a lot of that, and I was in the fitness industry. It's marketing. It's marketing. Tell people what they want to hear. So when it comes to creation, listening to God's voice, look at food as fuel. Look at food as fuel. And the reason I'm not going to go into a lot of different supplements, because there's tons out there. It depends what your goals are. What are you trying to do? You can meet most of your nutritional needs with food. Of course, you might want to supplement like vitamin K, vitamin D, things like that. And that's a whole nother topic, but food is fuel. So if you look at it by design and look at biblical examples, it's not that hard. Is this going to fuel my body or is this going to hurt it? You can take that if you want, but is this Doritos going to help and Dr. Pepper? And let me give you some encouragement. Your taste buds will change. Like I don't crave those at all. 10 years ago, 20, Doritos and Dr. Pepper. Or Doritos inside of a sandwich with a BLT, crunchy. And I had to have this. Your taste buds change. I haven't yet quite conquered the chocolate demon, but he's next. But actually, dark chocolate in moderation can be good. But again, there's a word, moderation. So food is actually fuel and, of course, enjoyment. And the key thing is what's allowed versus ideal. I see somebody, well, that's allowed. I mean, yeah, but is it ideal? Alcohol's allowed. But is it ideal? Monster energy drinks are allowed as a Christian, right? You give freedom. But is that a good idea? I'm telling you, I don't want to go on too many rabbit trails, but over the years, you can ask my wife, we've prayed for thousands of people after services in our prayer rooms, Wednesdays, Sundays. And I've seen some incredible, I just got emails, I'll just say their first name, Malachi, Greg, Tiffany, Matt, Mike in Arizona. And a lot of these people struggle with anxiety and depression. Once they kick the caffeine, they feel 10 times better and they're sleeping better. So I can pray for anxiety and fear and depression, but what are you fueling? Are you actually taking in what's creating it? Now, of course, some of these things in moderation are especially if you don't have an addictive personality. But if you do, you might want to avoid things that are addictive. I don't know, just saying. You can't outrun a bad diet. And of course, they always change the low-fat, high-sugar craze of the 1980s. Now fat was bad. Now cholesterol's bad. And do you know cholesterol is actually one of the most important things for your cells? It affects all functions of life. It's actually not bad. The reason high-density lipoproteins, LDL, low-density, the good, the bad cholesterol, they're both actually good. One takes the cholesterol from, I believe it's a high-density lipid. It takes the cholesterol from the arteries back to the liver to be processed, where the bad guy, I think it's the LDL. Am I right, Paul? Yes, close. Okay, well, the bad guy, here's why he's a bad guy. He takes the cholesterol to the arteries. Bad guy. No, actually, he's fixing something. The cholesterol is going to fix something that's wrong there. So when we ask the question, what's causing the damage? The cholesterol is not causing the damage. It's there to fix something. What's causing the damage? We could get into seed oils. Avoid those at all costs. They're big right now. The seed oil, safflower, sunflower. Basically, I could be up here we talked about this, Dr. Paul, for 4 hours, right? Explaining all these things. But the way they process the oil, and then after they process it with chemicals, now it smells really bad. So they have to use solvents on the seed oil. And so all these high inflammatory chemicals, the omega-3, omega-6 out ratio, and then there's big buckets. You can see them at Costco. And so what they do is they buy these buckets at fast food places, money. It's all about money, revenue. And so these things are harmful to the body. Number 2, so food is fuel. Look at it as fuel. Enjoy it, but it's fuel. How does the body design? Number 2, remove the affliction of addiction. Remove the affliction of addiction. One of the best ways you can get in good shape, health, lose that weight is whatever, for most of us, weight gain is because we consume something we like too much. Can we just be honest this morning? Anybody have a problem with steamed asparagus with some black pepper on them? No issues there? Anybody, I ate too much salad. No, not with chocolate on it and tons of dressing. Right? It's what we're addicted to. Like, I'm already dreading the men's breakfast coming up. 250 organic eggs with homemade sourdough? Warm sourdough with grass-fed butter melting on that sourdough? Oh my goodness. But it's usually those things that you're having too much of. The chocolate, the fast food, and it is carbs. Carbs are addictive because you get that dopamine hit. So you have to deal with and take a season of removing that addiction. And I just noted this because it came up. Or maybe I didn't put it on here, but do you see the new Surgeon General warning now that any type of alcohol can cause is a cancer risk? Hello. And of course there's moderation. If a person can enjoy one now and then, but the majority of people can't enjoy one now and then. They need the buzz, and it's actually an addiction. They don't like me talking about it, so I'll go into a different topic. But it's true. If you have to have it, and your body's craving it, but if you deal with addiction, you will lose weight and really improve your health. Because it's usually the addictive items that are causing the damage. Unless you eat too much broccoli. I'd love to talk to you afterwards. Herbert Shelton was a fasting expert, I think, probably 100 years ago now. How often do we see patients who are always eating and complaining they are always hungry? Hello? Of course these people are never hungry. They are food drunkards. And I hope a lot of stuff comes out with this new administration. But food companies hire scientists. Do you know why? Taste testing. Hundreds of thousands. He'll make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year to keep you addicted. And I know Chick-fil-A, I know In-N-Out Burger, and I always get pushback on this, but it's just the truth. I know they're Christian companies. They got little verses on their Coca-Cola at the bottom. But unless they change their ingredients, this stuff's not good. There's about over 50 chemicals. 50. Why do you need 50? Sourdough bread, sourdough, whatever else it is, and some salt, and then you've got a patty from a cow. 4 ingredients. And you might put some organic ketchup on there without any sugar. Okay, why do they have all these chemicals? Because do you want a homemade hamburger or one from Carl's Jr.? What's the difference? Chemicals. So remove the affliction of addiction of those things. Number 3, the outside affects the inside. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on this, but what you put on your skin matters. Deodorant, hygiene products, and I don't recommend this. I would read the ingredients really well, even on sunscreen. You want to know what you're putting on your skin, and be very careful. Look at the ingredients. And I don't say this to have you do it, okay? And I could get skin cancer later. I don't know. But I haven't worn sunscreen in years. I limit the sun exposure when I can. It's long sleeves. I get pretty tan, both, so that's probably beneficial. Some people don't. But there are natural things you can use to keep the sun off. Because remember, creation, right? We're created to absorb some sun, not put chemicals all over our body that are actually harmful, or the deodorant. They call endocrine disruptors. And that's why they're seeing huge low levels of testosterone. So I'm not going to get into detail, look into it more, but yes, what you put on your skin really affects you. A friend of mine, many of you remember when he spoke here, Malachi O'Brien, he sent me a picture. He goes, is this true? It's called caffeine shampoo. Caffeine shampoo. Have you guys heard of that? Okay, look it up. I hope it wasn't a joke, but I don't think it was. But what it is, you're putting in hair follicles. You're putting caffeine. It will be absorbed into your body, and you will definitely feel the caffeine from that. And what you put on the skin isn't something that just everything bounces off. What you're putting on is getting into the system. So just be cognizant of that. Number 4, improve your move, not your mood. Improve your move. Get that app on there. Get 10,000 steps if you can, 15,000 steps. We've got to move. Remember, it's about energy expenditure. And when you move, the body burns more energy, correct? We were not designed to sit all day. How many of you know what the NEAT principle is in health and fitness? Non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And so, without exercise, if you're moving, you're burning. You burn almost double than just moving, doing something, than sitting down and doing nothing. Or watching TV. Get out and do something. It's amazing how the body reacts. So what I'm doing, I'm giving you 7 things that if you do these 7 things, you're going to be on a great path to getting in shape. And again, it's not about physical shape, it's about spiritual shape, but how we take care of our body matters. And number 5, that's why we have the free books for you on your way out. Feast on fasting. Feast on fasting. We live in a day and age where we must discipline the flesh. Do you ever see that? The difference is, think about it, even 150 years ago, there was not this. They had the opposite problem, malnutrition. Winter, there's no food. They've got to store up for it. Now our abundance means we need to be very, very in tune with what's going on. From stress to mood. Oh, I'm sorry, he's back on. And let me keep on with fasting. You know what? Let's go back one, because this is important. It's an important word called, and we need to get in the habit of it, hormesis. How many of you know what hormesis is? Do hard things, basically. It's a low dose of a harmful stressor, and it stimulates a beneficial adaptive response. Let me explain that. Doing something hard, jumping in your cold pool. What's popular right now, right? Cold water plunges. I don't know how people get all this money to buy red light therapy and water. But what it does is it gives your body an immune response. And how your body responds to something that normally isn't good, but the response is actually very beneficial. And that's what hormesis is doing hard things. And you get a good response from that. Also, now it leads right into the next point. 5, feast on fasting, because it also puts your body in that state. And I'm not going to go into all the details. You guys have heard me talk about autophagy before, where fasting will actually begin to clean up the body, the cells and the mitochondria and different things. Alzheimer's, actually dementia is mental challenges. Alzheimer's is a form of dementia. That's the difference there. And what fasting will do is also help to clear those areas. It's called brain-derived neurotropic factor. It's increased, and your brain, everything, your body begins to clean. So what we're seeing, you realize, is I have no time for cleaning because I'm always eating. And anybody else eat before you go to bed? Guys, we got to be honest if we're going to get anywhere. Yes, not a good thing. Not only do you not sleep well, I realize I'm like eating 18 hours a day. And there's no time for the body to clean, and autophagy takes place. And as a reminder, Jesus said, when you fast, not if you fast. And our body needs a Sabbath. And then finally, number 6, this is so important. And the more I look into it, deep sleep. Because sleep, but it's actually, I think, one of the main things we need to focus on. Because weight gain can happen with poor sleep. Why? Because of hormonal imbalance. Deep sleep is when the body repairs, when it recovers, when you wake up refreshed, when it renews. You don't get sick as easy. It's very important. So go deep with sleep. And then number 7, the final thing, focus on spiritual health. Focus, because you can do all these things. I mean, I watch all these podcasters, and most of them I don't think are Christians. I mean, they're talking about evolution. They're talking about them like, bro, you look like, what's that guy, Brian Johnson? He spends $1 million a year to look young. He's reversed his age by 10 years, supposedly. And I'm like, dude, you're still going. Your plane might crash. You might get you're going. And so if we focus only on the physical, it will always let us down. And the more you focus on it, the more you'll be let down. I remember when some of this stuff was up higher. And I could count 6 things. Not anymore. It's like, holy mackerel. I'm getting out of bed. Wow, gosh. Let me stretch a little. And my daughter wants to run. It's like, well, I can't even jog like I used to. It's like, did you know most people can no longer sprint? I think it's after the age of 30. Just let that sink in. So focus on spiritual health. And here's the encouragement. Fall forward. You don't leave here going, oh my goodness, look at all. No, you make these 7 changes. Now, how you do that's up to you, because these 7 things will work. If you incorporate these 7 things, they will work. Moderation in diet, consuming less than you're burning, fasting, all these things. Trust God and don't worry about all the other details that you can't control. Amen? All those things you can't control. Because I can make you pretty worried right now. Should we talk about what they're doing in our skies? No. Do you want to hear about forever chemicals in your clothes? No. Do you want to hear about the microplastics now that you're consuming? No. Do you know how much plastic you're consuming each week? They say it's the size of a credit card. Especially if you drink plastic out of water bottles. Sometimes I'm like, Lord, I'm done learning. Okay, just, I'm done. All the chemicals and everything. Extreme times call for extreme measures. And here's where I want to close. The extreme times call for extreme measures. So at some point, you got to say, you know what, Lord, I'm going for this. Because when we stay mediocre, when we stay stagnant, it's a good word. It's like, okay, you've got to get pretty relentless about it. You do. I wish I could tell you, that's why I don't like some of these programs. No, just cut your calories by 300 a day and do this. That could work, but sometimes we need some results. I need to find out what works, and I need to find out what doesn't and why. So again, I don't want to tell you what to do, but if I were you, when I mentioned the book out there, Lost Art of Fasting in a Gluttonous World, Dr. Paul has helped countless people, and they're on about 600 calories a day. Again, it's not about calories, but you have to create a deficit, nutrient dense, and you get in a ketogenic state, and the body just sucks off the fat. However, you do that for a while. When you come out of that, you've got to be strategic. You go back to Jack in the Box, you're going to have the same issues, the same problems. And people, I get pushback, but that's low-calorie diets. Right, that's not good for a lifestyle for the rest of your life. But sometimes we need to get extreme. We need to get extreme. We need to make some major changes in our lives. Extreme times call for extreme measures. So with that, I'm going to have Dr. Paul come up. He's going to go for quite a while till the Q&A. And I'll let him tell you a little bit about himself. And then we will go into the Q&A and try to answer some questions directly. And again, I wish I could, each one of those topics I could have spent a lot of time, because you're like, what about this? What about this? I would just say make sure you're taking in less than your body's consuming, and it's whole food, good, God-given food, in moderation, lots of plants. I would personally avoid some dairy for a while, maybe a little bit of meat, and tons of plants, tons of vegetables, God-given food. And you watch what God will do with that.